We back. We got this new Kraken raid that just came out. Wonderful little boss. Kind of reminds me more of an egg than an actual Kraken, but you know, he has tentacles, so I guess that counts. Something you'll important to notice is this wonderful struggle right here, and I'll explain that in just a few. First things first, what does this new boss mean? It does not mean a new set of gear, unfortunately. Instead, we get these wonderful black flood tokens that can be exchanged for any of the other raid gears tokens. So, and it's a one-for-one exchange, so you can get more inhib gear or more Brita gear tokens and craft up whichever set of gear you want. Alternatively, you can use those tokens for 1500 and craft a guaranteed gold tier SSR relic. Now, it's still RNG. You can't guarantee which raid you'll get it from, but you can get either Brita or Inhib. Now let's talk a little bit about what Struggle is. Struggle is a category that really has been getting used, probably outside of story. It basically is a buff for certain units that gives them additional damage to a boss and resistances or defense against that boss. Before we go into this, let me go ahead and show you the team I'm running. You'll notice that there are these V marks on the portrait of the characters. That's that struggle buff, or the characters that get the struggle buff. And I will go into the detail of the gear after the fight. Alright, so I'm going to try and explain the mechanics while we watch this fight here. So I'm starting off with ASY, Kim Sobin, Ifrit, and Dorothy here. Reason being is I'm trying to complete the first hit check on this tentacle, which is the hardest one to complete. Doing so actually gets us 10 DP that we can sit there and spawn the rest of our team. Now, that's per tentacle. So the first 3 tentacles that spawn, that's 30 DP, and that's a lot of DP to get your entire team out. Now, after you've completed these 3 tentacles here, the actual boss will sit there and spawn. Now, once the boss spawns, as you'll see here shortly, it knocks the entire team back and spawns 3 more tentacles. Those tentacles, speaking of which, all the tentacles have 80 hits that you on 150. On 130, I believe it's only 50 hits or 55 that you have to sit there complete. So it's a lot easier on the 130s to sit there and get the hit checks. But like I said, the first one's the hardest. And as you see here, the boss knocks everybody back. Now I have my units in a specific order so that once we knock these 3 tentacles here down, the boss will sit there and go into a groggy state, which means he'll stop doing his attacks and using any of his abilities, and he'll actually put a minus 30% debuff on himself, which means you only need 70% here in order to sit there and fully death break the boss. Now, while he's only groggy for 15 seconds, so you want to sit here and try to burst the boss in this moment as much as possible. So you want to line all your ultis up, all your buffs, everything to happen right here. Then once he gets back up, shortly after, he'll spawn 3 tentacles. Once those tentacles come up, as you can see, it kind of knocks your team around a bit, and suddenly it slows down a bit, the DPS. But since we're using things like Lonely, who have a 40% death break, Chifu, who has 20%, Agnes is permanent 20% once she hits the boss 3 times anytime during the fight. That's already 80% there, so you just have to mix in some other death breakers just to get that last 100%. Now for gear, ship, and operator. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh, I don't have a max A speed operator. It's not necessary. I have seen other players be able to do that hit check. Granted, they didn't have the type of gear that I had, so they did less damage, but that gave them more time for their units to spawn out before the hit check was initiated. The hit check starts at 30%. So like I said, you'd have to probably adjust your damage based on that. Now for the ship, Chorus is what I'm using. I prefer Chorus currently because it gives A speed and crit damage. You can, however, sit there and use... Not that. Can, however, sit there and use Ahab. Ahab does sit there and give you 10% A speed, which is 2% more. So if you don't have Chorus already built, you can sit there and use it. The hit's not necessarily good. It may give some of your units a little bit more surefire, but we have Sky, so you get surefire on those units anyways later on in the fight. Now for the gear. I am using a full A speed Brita set. Range damage is 31%. It doesn't have all my best pieces on it, but I have those spread out throughout the team. Kim Sobin kind of got my leftover attack speed gear, which kind of helps here because she's just here for hit check anyways. But she does have as much ground damage as I can sit there and fit on her with this. Ifrit is just on full attack speed, Brita being the preferred thing. He or she is running an extra line of crit damage right here. Dorothy I have on Swift A speed. It's kind of not necessarily with as much with the op that I have and the ship to have 40% A speed on her, but I don't really have gear to sit there and spread around. Yang is on tanky CDR. Agnes is on, again, some leftover A speed gear. She doesn't have full anti-ground. She is rocking a single Swift piece, but that's honestly not necessary. I do have a bit of tank on her. The melee doesn't help, and neither does that. The HP percent, but the anti-ground res is rather good. Sky I have on full A speed. Skill haste is the subs for her. Aegea can actually go on full maze and she'll be fine, but since I have 78% skill haste, went ahead and went with that. Sigma I actually have on Brita CDR with melee subs or latents. This isn't necessary. You can go full maze CDR on her, but I actually think Brita's just better CDR as long as you have some sort of damage sub. Rosaria is on A speed as well with range damage or crit damage or attack. Not necessarily all range damage here. Chinatsu I have on tank HP with her EE. Roy I have on tank with his EE as well. Curry I just have on full damage. Attack. Lonely I have on CDR because I want her spamming her special as much as possible. It's not full T7, but it's 72%. Well, it's not even any T7. It's all T6. Sinjia I have on CDR range damage. Her cooldowns aren't that important in this fight. So might as well try to squeeze out as much damage as possible. And Soyun I have on whatever leftover CDR gear I can because I want her spamming her special as well. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope this helps you with the new raid. The boss is an interesting concept. Kind of wish it came with some new gear, but what can you do? Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're feeling extra special, you can join the Mage Army by clicking the join button. You can catch me on Discord, link will be in the description. And if you want to help support this channel, you can find a link for that in the description as well. As always, I will see you all next time.